Max Verstappen's big win in Brazil might have made us forget about something else that's really important for Red Bull, and that's winning the team championship. Perez finished the race without getting any points, just like what happened at his home race in Mexico. Now the team is having a really hard time and will probably finish in third place if nothing crazy happens with the Ferrari or McLaren teams. But this is costing Red Bull a lot of prize money, and many workers are upset because they're getting less money and smaller bonuses. So could Red Bull finally realize that Perez isn't the right person for them? And if so, who's the best driver to replace him? It's pretty obvious that Perez not doing well has really hurt Red Bull big time, and he's the main reason why they're third in the team championship right now. Sure, the car got a bit worse and teams like McLaren and Ferrari were able to catch up. But even with such a terrible car, Max was able to get lots of points while Perez was out of the top 10 for most of this season. Not to mention the last time he got on the podium was during the first 5 races of the season. Ever since then, it's been all downhill for the 34-year-old driver, and this is something that not even Horner can make excuses for anymore. When talking about how Sergio is doing and his future with the team, the British guy said Perez knows. F1 is a business where you have to get results, and when you're not doing well, everyone's watching you closely. As he said, F1 is a business based on results, and when anyone isn't performing well, of course there's always going to be people looking at that closely. And as a team, we need both cars getting points. That's just how Formula One works. The pressure on Perez never stops, it's always there. So, from the team's point of view, we're working with him as hard as we can to try and help him. He thinks they've done everything they can to support Sergio, and they'll keep doing so. But there comes a time when you can only do so much. The team helped Perez a lot during the Brazilian race because they gave him a brand new car frame, and he was able to move up a few spots during the sprint race to score 1 point for the team. But during the main race, his speed compared to Verstappen was nowhere close. And the fact that both Racing Bulls drivers made it to the final qualifying round and finished with points is now putting a lot of pressure on his seat. The Mexican driver insists there's no pressure though, and he'll be here next season. However, that's now very unlikely to happen because even Helmut Marko has said that the situation is very sad when it comes to the second driver's seat. Now that Red Bull didn't have 2 drivers getting lots of points, the worst thing that could happen is they'd finish third, which would cost them about $20 million in prize money. That would definitely push the team to make some money cuts, and of course the workers won't be too happy about that. So having a strong second driver is now something they really need, and Horner has said this again after the latest race in Brazil. Even though Red Bull was the team that got the most points, they did it only through Verstappen. When talking about it, Horner said Brazil was a chance to take a big chunk in the team championship from both Ferrari and McLaren. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that, so obviously that's frustrating. But they'll go away and look at it and come back hopefully fighting hard in Vegas. The team boss of Red Bull talked about Perez's struggles in Brazil and said he was pretty unsure why he wasn't able to move up the starting grid in a similar way, like his teammate, even with the new car frame. This puts even more pressure for the rest of the season that has 3 races and a sprint event. When talking about it more, Horner has also spoken about the possible replacements that Red Bull would have to look into. He added, "I haven't sat in the meeting. I haven't heard Perez's comments. But there was nothing obvious to me in the race. I think everything in life is your own opinion and you've got to look at the facts. We're working hard with Sergio. He had a car frame change this weekend. I thought he drove a good sprint race, but on Sunday it wasn't his day. Perez is our current driver. Lawson did a super job again today, and Colapinto as well, but Liam especially considering his experience. Franco is another talented driver, so of course you're always keeping an eye on the market of how things are going. Lawson is now looking like the most serious person to join Red Bull as Verstappen's teammate because there's no doubt about his incredible skills. He's also gotten points twice, finishing 9th place in Austin and Brazil, which just shows that he's an important driver for the fight for 6th place in the team championship with Haas. Now that Alpine has joined all of a sudden, the pressure will be even greater. But that doesn't mean Lawson won't impress in the following races, even though Colapinto finished higher than him in Brazil and is still considered as a real candidate for Perez's seat. The Japanese driver couldn't have done more to prove himself. A third-place starting position in Brazil and a strong seventh-place finish that was hurt by bad luck with the red flag, the same one that helped Verstappen in his championship quest. Be that as it may, he will have a test with a Red Bull car after the Abu Dhabi finale, something that Honda has been pushing for quite some time, and something that will very likely give Red Bull an idea of whether or not he's worth taking as a second driver. Despite his emotions running very high and his calmness being a big question mark, when talking about this more, Horner said, "Yuki is obviously a member of the junior team. It's something that we have talked about with Honda that he should have a test in one of our cars in Yas Marina after the last race of the season. He will test the car again at the tire test after the season ends. It's something that's been agreed for quite some time. It will again be good to give him a run, give him the chance to work with Red Bull racing engineers, and see how he does in a Red Bull racing car. One thing is for sure, Sainz is very unlikely to be paired with Verstappen, as Horner has opened up about this question, saying there are 0 to no chances that the Spanish driver will break his promise to the Williams team. He added, there's always plenty of guessing in the Formula One area, and Carlos Sainz is going to be a Williams driver next year. He's a great driver, had a big win in Mexico recently, and I think he'll be very good for that team. He is committed to Williams, and he wouldn't be part of our plans for next year. As of now, Yuki has done better than 2 teammates during his time with Racing Bulls, De Vries and Ricciardo. And it's obvious that the relationship he has with Honda is something that's stopping Red Bull from making a longer commitment with. The young driver, on the other hand, Colapinto, is doing an amazing job with Williams, similar to what Lawson is doing with Racing Bulls, but it's expected that if the Austrian team would choose one of these 2 drivers, they would definitely be more interested in Lawson because they've raised him through their training programs and will get a lot of praise for that move. On the other hand, Colapinto would continue the support for the team from Latin America, an area that now seems very important when it comes to who will have the second seat in the team. So this might be a situation where the team will find themselves split about who deserves the seat more, Colapinto or Lawson. One thing is for sure, though, they will lose the money that has been given to them constantly from 2021 onwards from Carlos Slim and some of the great sponsors for the team, Telmex and Telcel, both owned by the Mexican businessman. As he openly said that he supports Perez and not Red Bull, so if Sergio is out of the team, his money is going with him. With all this in mind, what do you think about a possible move for Lawson to Red Bull? And more importantly, do you think that Perez deserves to be replaced after the terrible performances he's given us in the past couple of weeks? Let us know in the comments below. And also, if you're interested in Verstappen's slam down of the FIA's latest attack, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.